Is this on?
If you just run through somebody's face, a lot of people ain't gonna be able to take that over and over and over and over and over and.
You don't feel in beast mode. It feels you.
Marshawn Lynch, aka Beast Mode. His nickname speaks for itself. Marshawn Lynch was a powerful runner who bullied defenses for years. In his peak, he was considered unstoppable, making highlight runs on a weekly basis. With his retirement for a second time, and most likely last, the question becomes, did Marshawn Lynch do enough to get voted into the prestigious NFL Hall of Fame? Marshawn Lynch was a fan favorite who had exciting moments at all times, on the field, off the field, and even including the sidelines. He is mostly known for his time he played with the Seahawks, as well as his most historic moment, his beast mode run against the Saints in the playoffs. Marshawn was a great playoff performer and helped the Seahawks to 2 Super Bowl appearances, winning 1 and ultimately should have been 2. But is he a Hall of Famer? Well, there are some topics to discuss to help us determine if he is deserving or not. First of all, his overall stats and resume. Over his entire career, Beast Mode has accumulated 10,379 rushing yards and 84 rushing touchdowns on 4.3 yards per carry. He was selected to 5 Pro Bowls and 1 All-Pro team to go along with his 1 ring. Out of his 11 seasons in the league, 6 of them he rushed for over 1,000 yards, and 4 of them he had over 10 touchdowns. These stats are pretty impressive, until you take a look at him compared to others in these categories. His total rushing yards are 29th in NFL history, and his rushing touchdowns put him at 16th. Out of the 32 current running backs in the Hall of Fame, 15 have more rushing yards, and 17 have less. That puts him right about in the middle, so he's not looking too bad there. Things get a lot tougher when you see there are 9 running backs ahead of him in rushing that are eligible but have not been selected to the Hall of Fame. Those 9 names: Edgerrin James, Fred Taylor, Corey Dillon, Warrick Dunn, Ricky Watters, Jamal Lewis, Thomas Jones, Tiki Barber, and Eddie George. It's tough to say where he fits in with those names, and definitely hard to say he's better than all 9, but his overall stats have him looking, he's hanging right there on the edge of getting into the Hall of Fame or not. So for his overall stats, I'm just going to have to go with they're just not quite good enough. Next category for Beast Mode, his postseason performances. As we all know, Marshawn Lynch had one of the most memorable plays in recent memory. His amazing touchdown run against the Saints in the playoffs in 2010 was something out of a movie. That run embodied who Beast Mode was and what his name meant. He just about broke every single defender's tackle on the other team, and topped it all off with a big fat hold my on his way to the end zone. This run is a historic moment in recent NFL history, and that highlight will be shown for years to come. In his 11 career games in the postseason, Marshawn totaled 937 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. Oh yeah, he also averaged almost 4.9 yards per carry in the postseason. He always performed best in the playoffs and rushed for over 100 yards 6 times. Out of those 6 times he rushed for 100 yards, 5 of them led to wins. His total playoff rushing yards ranks 8th all time, and all the names above him, Hall of Famers, with quite a few names even below him on that list. He also ranks tied for 8th all time in career playoff rushing touchdowns, with all the players ahead of him who are eligible, you guessed it, enshrined in the Hall of Fame. And once again, quite a few names rank lower than him on that list that are still in the Hall. Lynch was at his best in the postseason. He led a heavy reliant run offense to back-to-back Super Bowl appearances as well as many playoff runs. They were tough out in the playoffs every single year. His 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 Super Bowl win helps his Hall of Fame case a lot. When it comes to postseason resume, Beast Mode has unquestionably proven himself to belong with the all-time greats. Now, we get into one of my favorite ways to determine all-time great players, the peak. The highest point of a player's career. The time when a player was at his best and ultimately what we remember them for. Marshawn's peak was no joke. When you think of beast mode, you think of his hard-charging, bone-breaking runs for the Seattle Seahawks, with the young, exciting Russell Wilson under center and a lockdown defense that no one wanted to see in the playoffs. Beast mode shined from 2011 to 2014, and those 4 years were unquestionably his peak. He was selected to the Pro Bowl every year and had over 1,200 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns in each of those 4 seasons. The Seahawks reached the playoffs 3 out of these 4 years and the Super Bowl twice. 8 of his 11 playoff games occurred during these years, and Seattle went 6-2 in these games. Lynch was the most feared running back in the league, punishing would-be tacklers every week. The Seahawks were a run-heavy team who just couldn't seem to be stopped. Beast mode stepped right into Seattle and became a fan favorite who put it all on the field every week. When it comes to his peak, Marshawn Lynch had those Hall of Fame credentials. Okay. Enough with all that. Let's get to the part most fans care about the most. Forget the stats and the awards and all that. With all that aside, let's take a look at beast mode past the numbers. This man was so unique, and that might help him stand out when it comes time to vote him in. The man was so motivating. I mean, he would rumble off for a big play on offense and ignite a spark to not only the crowd, but even the team's defense. He had that type of impact. He had such huge moments and always came up big when it mattered most. He was the glue to one of the best and toughest beats in the NFL at the time, and we will always remember him for that. At the end of the day, I think Marshawn is honestly on the bubble, and he might get into the Hall of Fame eventually, just not at first. But in reality, the question is, does he even care? Can you really picture him standing at the podium, giving a speech to a bunch of people? That's not the beast mode I remember. He spent his entire career ducking the media, and that's who he was. I don't think Marshawn Lynch cares whether he gets inducted or not. He's just going to keep being himself and doing him. And when it's all said and done, Marshawn Lynch will always be remembered, Hall of Fame or not. There'll only be one beast mode, and his skills and personality will be greatly missed. Thanks for watching the video. There's many more to come in the future. Until next time, peace.